News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Tuesday on Wall Street, where traders sent stocks toward all-time highs on speculation that solid corporate earnings will keep powering the market gains, and the dollar slid to an almost four-year low. But President Trump said just before that closing bell that he was not concerned about the decline in the dollar. That sent the dollar tumbling. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index now down about 1.25%. We do bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 28 points, NASDAQ up 216 points, and the Dow lost 409 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.23%, the 2-year yield at 3.57%. President Trump also saying Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem would remain in her post despite the president's decision to reshuffle the leadership running his deportation effort in Minnesota.
I think she's doing a very good job. The border is totally secure. You forget, we had a border that I inherited where millions of people were coming through. Now we have a border where no one is coming through.
But Democrats say they'll investigate Secretary Noem and move to have her impeached if the president doesn't fire her. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey posted on social media that he and Minneapolis Chief of Police met with House Border Czar Tom Homan and had what Frey described as a productive conversation. Frey says he reiterated his main ask, which is that Operation Metro surge end as quickly as possible. With the fatal shooting of 2 U.S. citizens by ICE agents in Minneapolis, even some of President Trump's strongest supporters are taking a step back. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says ICE does need to change its approach.
Go about their job in a more structured way to make sure that they are going to be able to remove these people without causing all the kinds of problems and fighting in communities that they are experiencing right now.
Now, Abbott has also ordered state agencies and public universities in Texas to immediately freeze new H-1B visa petitions. He says that taxpayer-funded jobs should go to Texans whenever possible. Agencies also have to submit detailed reports identifying how many H-1B workers they employ and where they're from. The chief federal judge in Minnesota has ordered the head of ICE to appear in court to explain why he shouldn't be held in contempt. This case involves a man who was brought to the U.S. as a child more than 25 years ago. He was detained by ICE earlier this month. The judge ordered ICE to release him on bond, but he's still being held. So the judge says there are dozens of similar cases where federal officials have failed to comply with orders, and he wants the acting director of ICE in his courtroom this Friday to explain. Everything that's happening in Minnesota risks drowning out President Trump's pivot to the economy. He's in Iowa today to focus on affordability. The president will make a stop at a local business and deliver a speech in a suburb of Des Moines, with the trip also highlighting energy policy. Amazon is closing its Amazon Fresh and Amazon Go stores, with some locations converted into Whole Foods Market stores. Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow.
The commitment from Amazon is very much to grocery in the context of same day, right? They've been focused very much on the online offering and doing those hourly deliveries and slots, but foot traffic's been falling away on these early locations.
The company said it would work to help store employees find other jobs within Amazon. Consumer confidence declined sharply in January to its lowest level since 2014 as Americans grow increasingly concerned about their financial prospects. A measure of expectations for the next 6 months fell in January to the lowest since April. A gauge of present conditions dropped to the lowest in nearly 5 years. Dana Peterson is a chief economist with the Conference Board.
They're saying prices are too high. In terms of buying in the future, they're indicating that they're still going to shift away from the things they don't need. And if they do want to go out and have fun, it's going to be cheap thrills like streaming at home.
The Conference Board survey finds fewer Americans expect their incomes to rise in the coming months, and the share of consumers that said jobs were currently hard to get was the highest since February of 2021. Shares of major U.S. insurers tumbled after the U.S. proposed holding payments to private Medicare plans flat next year. United Health shares fell about 20% in regular trading, CVS shares down 14%, Humana shares down 21%, all in regular trading. The Trump administration has notified Congress Congress that it's taking the first steps to possibly reopen the shuttered U.S. embassy in Venezuela by sending in a regular contingent of temporary staffers to conduct select diplomatic functions. In a notice to lawmakers obtained by the Associated Press, the State Department says the staffers would live and work in a temporary facility while the existing embassy compound is brought up to standard. That embassy was shuttered in 2019. The National Transportation Safety Board is holding a day-long hearing as it prepares to release its comprehensive report and recommendations on a collision a year ago between a passenger jet and a military helicopter at Reagan National Airport. Chairwoman Jennifer Homendy says that crash cannot be blamed on individual human error.
Several barriers of defense must fail for the error to lead to an accident. Deep underlying systemic failures, system flaws aligned to create the conditions that led to this devastating tragedy.
That collision, which involved an American Airlines jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter, killed 67 people. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.